Hi, Scott Orlin with CINEMA-Magazin. Welcome to the Magic Castle. And how appropriate, because we are here with director Eli Roth for the movie The House with the Clock in Its Walls. Eli, congratulations.
Thank
For
you.
a lot of people don't know, this is based on a childhood book. So how difficult is it as a filmmaker to transition from the pages of a book into a full feature film?
Well, here's the nice thing is I had a terrific screenwriter named Eric Kripke who has done, I think, 272 episodes of the show Supernatural. He's an amazing writer, and it was his favorite book, so he really wrote a terrific script. So as a director, what I do is I read the script, I read the book, and I really think visually, and I think of certain things that I want to add to the movie and other scenes, and I work on that with Eric, but really the heavy lifting was done by Eric Kripke.
What I love too about this movie is that you've paired two incredible actors that normally people would never think.
Two great
I'm
tastes
going
that
to
go
put
great together.
Jack Black and Cate Blanchett together. But yet, when they have their little verbal sparring session, there's magic that comes out.
Yeah.
Talk a little about the two of them as your witch and warlock of the movie.
Well, you know, the two of them have this kind of Ozzie and Harriet relationship where they're best friends and they're constantly bickering and going at each other, but in the best possible way, in the most loving way. And, I'm a student of cinema and I've seen all of their movies, and they're really, really two of my favorite actors in the world. And I think that Jack really doesn't get enough credit for what a brilliant dramatic actor he is. I think he's our generation's Robin Williams. I think that you look at Robin Williams, what he did in Dead Poets, Awakenings, and winning the Oscar for Good Will Hunting, and then Kate, people don't give her enough credit for how funny she is. She's very funny in Blue Jasmine, and now we're starting to see it with Ocean's 8 and Thor. But the two of them together, I think that Jack brings out the best comedy in Kate, and Kate brings out the best comedy in Jack. And it's one of these things going, yeah, this is the cinema duo we didn't realize we all needed.
And what I thought was fascinating too, for those of you like me who kind of grew up on Amblin movies, this is an Amblin film, and it definitely kind of is evocative of that time and era. And yet, while you had fun with the imagery of all that, thematic-wise, you're dealing with something very politically and socially relevant to today.
Sure.
You know, not only with Owen's struggle of identity and finding his place in the world, but the politics of violence and what somebody's willing to do to try and thwart mankind.
No, I mean, I think what I loved about those early movies, those Amblin movies, was the stakes were real. And even Raiders of the Lost Ark, you're dealing with the Nazis. And E.T., all these films had such heart, but there was real danger to them. And that's what I loved about the story, was that it's really about embracing your own inner weirdness and owning that, and how that becomes the source of your superpower. Because I think that children live in a very filtered world. You know, imagine being 10 and looking at social media and everyone looks perfect, and the prettiest people are getting all the little likes and all the comments, and suddenly you're some kid and you don't quite fit in and you don't quite look like that, and you're not getting that same response. You're going to feel terrible about yourself. And that's what I think kids go through in kids are under a microscope in a way that they never were before. Everything you do, there's a record of it. It's terrible. So I wanted to, have a movie with a message that it's okay to be weird and own your weirdness, and that all the things you think make you an outcast are actually the source of your superpowers. At the same time, the movie's set in 1955, so you're dealing with the ramifications of World War II. And I think there are a lot of things that are going on in today's world that are still very relevant to that. It's how we process tragedy. Do you move forward, or do you want to turn everything backwards?
And just a last question for you. Obviously, you set the movie in a world of magic. And part of making a movie is really doing magic. You're creating something that really isn't there. So of all the cool effects that you got to do and work in this movie, what was the coolest trick for you? What was the greatest magic trick that you were able to bring out? It's
a great question. I mean, for me, the sequence that I go, yeah, this is exactly what I had in my head. It was the automaton attack. I got to... there's a film by the brothers Quay called Street of Crocodiles, and it's one of the stop-motion animation shorts. I watch it and I want to live inside of it. So we built all these fantastic, creepy, weird automatons, and just being around them, I loved it. You could just feel the creepiness in the air with them all around. Like, you keep thinking they're going to come to life. And my visual effects supervisor, Louis Moran, is really incredible. And he brought them to life. It looked perfect. I mean, they are photo real. You cannot tell which are the ones that we built and which ones are CGI. So I'm most proud of that sequence.
Well, congratulations on the movie, Eli. It's always such a pleasure.
Thank you.
And he was generous enough to allow cinema on the set. So we say thank you. And this is Scott Orlin. Till next time.